Kitchen Nightmares, Chapter 14, Part 2. Pinky jumped up to Gordon and comically floated in the air for a few seconds as she whispered into his ear.
Just try not to mention her growing popularity on the internet.
Pinky said quietly.
It might get weird.
Gordon just raised an eyebrow at her before nodding and pretending that he knew what she was talking about.
Ah, yes. Twilight told me about this place where you and Rarity helped Mare and her father deal with her business and save their relationship.
Celestia mused. Well, the outside appearance of a restaurant doesn't always make the restaurant, Gordon said thoughtfully.
Well, let's go in, shall we?
Rarity said. Inside, they found the charming eatery filled with exotic decorations of which Gordon recognized as being from the pony equivalent of East Indian culture. The hardwood floors were adorned in ornate carpets that covered every foot of the restaurant. Glowing lights were hung from every rafter and chandelier to illuminate the room in a unique fashion as ponies from every part of the city poured into the restaurant. Smells of various mouth-watering spices permeated through the air from the kitchen. A waitress unicorn pony with brown fur, purple eyes, and a poofy black mane, carrying a tray full of food, noticed the group as she galloped up to them and gave Pinky and Rarity a big hug.
My dear friends, it is very good to see you all once again,
the mayor exclaimed happily.
And to bring such glorious guests into our restaurant is spectacular of you. Well, you know us, Saffron. We always want to make a big impression on ponies,
Rarity replied.
We miss you, Saffy. We figured we should stop by and show you our new friend Gordy.
Pinky chattered. That's good. Never mind. Gordon chuckled quietly. The pony Rarity identified as Saffron Masala leaned down to show respect for the princess.
It is a great honor to meet you, Your Majesty,
she said respectfully.
Thank you for coming to our little restaurant. None of that, Miss Masala. We're all friends here. Besides, the real one getting the treat is our interdimensional guest here, Chef Gordon Ramsay,
Celestia said as she gestured towards the human. Gordon stepped forward as he kneeled down and kissed her hoof. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Masala, Gordon said charmingly. Saffron blushed as she quietly giggled at the human and brushed a lock of her black hair out of her face.
The pleasure is mine, Chef. It is not every day that we serve a guest from another world. I hope our curry dishes are to your liking.
Well, I spent a good amount of time in my world's equivalency of culture, learning how to make curry, so I'm hopeful.
Father, we have royal guests! Get your large Gustavo out here! Saffron
bellowed. Suddenly, loud banging and things falling onto the ground could be heard in the kitchen as a chubby pony with the same fur and mane color stumbled out of the back doors and clumsily stood up. When he set his eyes on the princess and Gordon, he galloped up to them and gave them a deep bow. Your Highness, it is the great honor of you to unexpectedly grace my humble restaurant, the pony said. I am Coriander Cumin. I welcome you and your human friend to the tasty treat.
How do you know about humans, Coriander?
Rarity asked. Princess Twilight's own human friend was here a few months ago, he explained. The boy was quite enthralled with my cooking. Oh, well then, I'm sure you shouldn't have much of a problem with me then, Gordon laughed. Saffron and Coriander led the group to a large open table booth, which was covered in an earthen green cloth and surrounded by plush maroon red pillows. A single glowing lantern sat in the middle of the table, illuminating the space even more. Saffron levitated menus over to the group for them to look at as she set up the table.
What would our esteemed guests like? May I recommend our famous curry oat cake as a starting appetizer?
Saffron asked with a large toothy grin. I think that would actually be lovely, Gordon exclaimed. While humans definitely cannot eat grass and flowers, oats are pretty palatable in a vegetarian diet.
Yes, I think that sounds just delightful,
Celestia agreed. Saffron dashed into the kitchen to get their appetizers as the group scanned the menus for a potential choice for their lunch orders. In no time at all, she brought out a large tray full of appetizer plates and sat them down as she prepared to take their primary entree orders.
Now, what may I get for you?
Saffron asked.
Let's see. I'll order your creamy vegetable korma,
Rarity said.
I'll have those yummy-sounding curried carrots and pickles,
Pinky chattered.
The palak paneer for me, please,
Celestia asked. Gordon looked at the various selections on the colorful menu until his eyes laid upon a familiar dish. I'll have the tikka masala, Gordon finally stated.
Excellent. I shall have them out as soon as possible,
Saffron said as she took their menus and dashed back into the kitchen. The group talked amongst each other as their food was being prepared. Gordon wanted to know how they knew of the tasty treat and how they met Saffron Masala. So, I heard something about you and Miss Pie coming to this restaurant to help these two ponies in some way, Rarity? Gordon asked.
Oh, why yes. Pinky and I were tasked with coming here by the map in Twilight's castle.
Rarity explained.
Saffron and Coriander were having a rather serious family problem with each other.
What was the problem exactly?
They were having disagreements. Saffron thought that they could revive the business with her new ideas for recipes, and Coriander was just about convinced that closing the restaurant for good was the only option. Their business was suffering greatly as well, thanks to Zesty Gourmand's rating system at the time, and I foolishly thought Zesty's system would have benefited them because it seemed to work a short while with other restaurants, but it only ended up hurting them. So, we just convinced Coriander to let Sappy do her stuff with her new ideas for recipes, and the restaurant properly took off.
Pinky finished. That's quite an accomplishment. Family disagreements like that can be very difficult to resolve sometimes, as I've learned on my show, but I am glad to see it worked out well enough for you two.
Family members fight all the time, but the important thing to remember in any good family is that you love each other, no matter what,
Celestia wisely said. 30 minutes later, Saffron emerged with 2 large serving trays in her magical grasp as their meals were finally ready. Gordon was the first to receive his meal, as his eyes first caught the vibrant color of the spiced curry sauce that covered the chunks of tofu and rice. Gordon was impressed with the presentation of the dishes that Saffron had prepared for the group. The only thing to test now was the taste. Gordon scooped a piece of tofu and rice, and he placed it into his mouth. A number of pleasant, warming flavors danced across his tongue as his hopefulness for Saffron's food was fulfilled. The group ate their food as their lunch was quickly downed. Gordon offered to pay, but Celestia insisted that she paid for their meal, and she also left a hefty tip. I could retire right now and be completely happy, Gordon said happily as they left the restaurant. What about you, Princess?
I wouldn't know. Retirement was never an option for my sister and I due to our immortality,
Celestia replied.
It would just be ducking our responsibilities, but I do understand your metaphor. Yeah, it's kind of funny to think that there are writers out there who think that you two would actually do that,
Pinky said as she looked towards the unseen audience with an unamused face. Suddenly, a scroll appeared out of thin air with a pop from a ghostly green flame. Celestia reacted as she grabbed the message and began to unroll it. Her eyes quickly darted across the letter as she turned to Gordon and the others with a big smile.
Pack your bags, Gordon. You and the rest of the girls are heading to Griffinstone first thing tomorrow. It seems there's another kitchen nightmare up for you to tackle,
Celestia said. Next time, Case and Greta, the Crazy Griffin. You know, I'm glad that Gordon loved the Tasty Treats food. Now, I wonder what this new adventure will be like for the crew all the way up in Griffinstone. Who knows? Guess we're gonna have to find out. Anyway, I'd love to give a very special thank you to my spectacular donators. Top donator, Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, Dresdon, dospo, RuneScythe9852, CourierCruz CI, Delta Omega, Ryanny Dragonwolf, Dwight Cornel, Gagi, Secret Moon, Tall Rasha, Starlight Glimmer, David D. Sanchez, Trey, Pokekiller Zach, Soul Dragon, Dak Britton, Joe Pierce E, and Alex F. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one.